Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, on what is, for me at least, a very pleasant, warm, sunny Thursday morning. Let's hope it stays like that. Now, Jackie Baillie has been baring her teeth and glaring at Humza Yousaf and telling him to stop peddling myths over the NHS. He has been saying that it's in such a parlous state because of Brexit, Westminster, but mostly, of course, Covid. But the NHS in Scotland was failing even before Covid, and it's been failing well after Covid's gone. But then they've got to blame someone. They can't blame themselves. They can't blame 17 years of underinvestment, underfunding, under-resourcing, and a whole strew of failing health ministers. Everyone thought Humza Yousaf was the worst health minister ever, until Michael Matheson turned up and said, "Here, hold my beer." Matheson goes and they get Neil Gray, and Neil Gray says, "Hey, you ain't seen nothing yet." So what is to be done? Well, there's only one thing for it. Kick the SNP out and put in someone who is capable of actually concentrating on the things that matter to people, like health, education, social cohesion, everything. Anyway, we'll have a look at this to see why Jackie Baillie is up in arms and is telling Humza Yousaf to just pull his finger out and get it sorted. Here goes. So, desperate Humza Yousaf told to stop blaming Covid for the calamitous state of NHS Scotland. And I just want to show you something because he's come in my room and he's going to be annoying me all day, I think. I'm dog sitting today, and this is the little fella that I've got to look after. This is Colin. Any great. Down you go, mate. So if you hear strange noises, it's because him and my dog will be playing around, so it'll be growling in the background. Anyway, the First Minister has been accused of peddling the myth that the pandemic is the sole cause of the crisis in the health service, and this is simply untrue, says Labour's Jackie Baillie. Well, of course it is. It's not. The COVID hasn't been the problem for years, and like I say, the NHS was falling before COVID, so it's a desperate ploy, isn't it? It's please blame something other than us. Blame something other than our constant pushing of independence. Blame anything, but don't blame us and don't blame me, says Humza Yousaf. And yet he's the one who's just promoted Neil Gray, who come from a small department that was paper-based and tick-boxing, into the largest department of government. The man has no experience in this. He's got no formal training. He doesn't understand. He's gone from, nothing that's hands-on onto a completely hands-on situation. And is it any wonder the NHS is getting worse? Gray is desperately out of his depth. He's doggy-paddling to keep his head above water. But I think it's too late, and I think he's drowning simply in the size of the workload. So do we think the NHS is going to improve under Gray, or just get steadily worse? Time and figures will tell. Anyway, Humza Yousaf has been accused of desperately blaming the Covid pandemic for the calamitous state of the health service. Dame Jackie Baillie hit out at the Scottish Government as she spoke about... See what I mean? As she spoke about her party's plans to reform Labour healthcare. Labour proposes to cut the number of territorial health boards in Scotland from 14 to 3. Dame Jackie claiming the current arrangement is excessive and inefficient. She may well be right, but I think cutting it to 3 is probably too much in a single step. Certainly when they unified Police Scotland to a single sort of monolithic structure, that did very little to improve policing. And perhaps having some kind of intermediate, say, from 14 to 7, I think would be more reflective of local needs. I think you've got to take that in. When you have this monolithic structure, it's going to be very centric upon the central belt, and it's going to be one of those, again, where the further out you go, the less important health becomes, I think. Her party wants to have an NHS recovery plan focused on preventative healthcare, which is wise. Apple a day and all that. While Dame Jackie also pledged Scottish Labour will create a national clinical council that put clinicians at the top table where they can use their skills, expertise and knowledge to inform decision making. Or the SNP won't like that. They don't like experts because experts tell them that what they're doing is completely wrong. So anything that can stop that happening, I suppose, is... I will give a tentative thumbs up on that, I think. Anyway, James Jackie highlighted the proposals in a blog post for the think tank Reform Scotland. Not, of course, anything to do with Reform UK, I suspect. In which she stressed the NHS recovery from the pandemic must be seen as a first step of generational reform. The NHS in Scotland, if it isn't fixed and fixed quickly, may be unfixable. And it may be that it's already unfixable. It may already be too late. The Dumbartonshire MSP conceded the changes alone will not fix the NHS, but they are critical steps in a journey of transformation. Do you know one of the biggest things you're going to need to do with the NHS in Scotland to fix it is remove the multitudinous layers of management. You have managers who manage the managers. It's basically that kind of non-job thing. Sure, you do need, and absolutely do need, administration. Of course you do. Everyone knows that. And there does need to be some kind of management. But there's management, and then there's excessive management. And when you're spending as much on the administration side as you are on the clinical side, you know something is very seriously amiss. She said, changes alone will not fix the NHS, but they are critical steps in a journey of transformation, which we said. Patients don't need to be convinced of the calamitous state of services. They see it every day in their own communities, whether it's long waits in A&E or hanging on the phone desperate for an appointment, or the multitudinous deaths, the mass number of deaths of cancer before you even see an oncologist. When a GP puts you forward to an oncologist, some people are waiting 6, 8, I think one case 15 weeks between GP and oncologist. That's unacceptable. It should be days. For cancer, it should be days. It is that critical. Time is magic when it comes to cancer. Anyway, at the same time, she said, NHS staff on the front line are bearing the brunt of decisions beyond their control. Doctors, nurses, and indeed all staff do not want to work in an NHS where they see patients being let down. Well, the trouble is they don't want to work in the NHS in Scotland. They're overworked, underpaid. Now they're about to be taxed even more. There are job vacancies that have been vacant so long that they're actually taken off the list of vacancies because they've decided that they're unfillable and therefore they've deleted the job. And so it's actually manipulating the vacancy figures. Oh, look, there are only like 27,000 vacancies when there should be something like 30,000 vacancies. It's just those three, 10% of them, were there so long unfilled that we just decided that the job doesn't exist anymore. That can't be right. And of course it goes beyond just medical care. There's all the post stuff. There's all of this. Admin staff, important. Absolutely. But the actual staff that do the work are the important ones. Admin managers who manage them. It's a joke. It's money wasted away rather than spent where it needs to be. And when you're getting people sitting 18, 19 hours, was it, in an ambulance, in a car park, waiting to be admitted, you know something is seriously wrong. I'll come up. Now, whether Labour are able to do anything about the NHS in Scotland remains to be seen. Obviously, they're bound to do well at the general election, but that didn't really give them the necessary power over Scotland until the Holyrood elections. But assuming Labour win the Holyrood election in a couple of years' time, and you have a Labour government, a Labour administration in Scotland, it's nice to see that they are prepared to deal with and look at the health service, and as Jackie Baillie says, as a priority. But these are just words, of course. These are empty words until Labour win, form the government, and then, tackle the problem. And how efficiently they tackle the problem remains to be seen. It's a long way. Words, as I say, are easy. Intentions are easy. But unless it is dealt with, the NHS in Scotland is likely just to become a fond memory. Talked about in hushed tones. Do you remember the old people? They used to have an NHS, say the new generations as they come up. And it will just slip into history. That's how bad the NHS is in Scotland now. It is that close to total and complete collapse. the true SNP legacy, I suppose you could say. Still, that's what you get when you vote for them. Thanks very much. We'll finish there. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.